into the news at 7, man. All right? I'll talk to you on Tuesday. All right? Run into the news at 7. So we'll talk again where you have unhindered time. That was the former president, well, a former president of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Owen Speed. He, for all intents and purposes, should be available to speak fulsomely on this subject on Tuesday's show. That's my time. Good evening.
This is CVM News at noon for Tuesday, April 29, 2025. I am Curlin Brown. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has congratulated the newly elected leaders of Trinidad and Tobago and Canada. Separate press releases from his office highlight the importance of these electoral victories as opportunities for enhanced cooperation. Prime Minister-designate Kamala Prasad-Bisase's victory in Trinidad and Tobago was particularly noted by Prime Minister Holness. He emphasized her leadership marks a renewed opportunity to deepen and broaden our collaboration in areas of mutual interest to include trade and investment, regional security, energy and climate change, issues that are increasingly pressing for Caribbean nations as they navigate the complexities of global challenges. He commits to working closely with the Prasad-Bisase's administration, adding their partnership would aim to promote prosperity, security and progress, not only for their respective countries, but also for the wider Caribbean. Meanwhile, in acknowledging the electoral success of Canada's Mark Carney, Mr. Holness says his victory is a testament to the confidence of the Canadian people during a time when the international community faces multifaceted challenges, such as geopolitical tensions, disruptions in supply chains, market shocks, food insecurity, human insecurity, and climate change. The St. Andrew North Police are investigating the execution-style killing of the son of entertainer Jamaican Jabbar Johnson, who was fatally shot during a live stream on TikTok on Monday. The well-known TikTok creator, who went by the social media handle One Baba Skeng, was live streaming on his social media when he was attacked. CVM News understands Johnson was in the vicinity of Queenie's snack shop on Red Hills Road when he was approached by a masked man dressed in black who opened fire at close range, hitting him several times in the head and the upper body. Now, even after Johnson fell to the ground, several more gunshots were reportedly fired. There were no reports of anyone else being injured at the scene. This is the fourth murder of a popular TikTok figure on the island in recent months. CVM News will provide more details on that incident as it becomes available. A husband and wife are now facing serious gun charges following a targeted early morning operation conducted by members of the St. Mary Police Division and the Area 2 Fugitive Apprehension Team in Castleton, St. Mary. At approximately 5 this morning, the police carried out an operation at a two-story dwelling in the Orange Field area, where the couple was taken into custody after one Steyr 9mm pistol along with a magazine and 25 rounds of 9mm ammunition were found concealed in a children's knapsack. The man, a 34-year-old landscaper, and his 30-year-old wife have since been charged with illegal possession of a prohibited weapon and ammunition. The seizure comes amidst a curfew imposed in sections of the parish due to an uptick in violent crimes. Domestic abuse remains a challenge within households, something retired Deputy Commissioner of Police, Novlet Grant, is still seeking to curb. She's imploring the society to shift the way of thinking regarding accepted interpersonal interactions.
Come up and we are told these things, or we observe these things, and out of it we create a belief as to how we ought to be. So that has a lot to do with it. And some of the things that we do in terms of our attitudes that come from our beliefs and thereby influence the behaviors that we display. A lot of it is unconsciously held. We are not even aware that we hold those attitudes and therefore will behave a particular way. The earliest form of socialization is the most important form, because by the time you're 7, you are basically set, your personality is basically formed, and you are who you are going to become.
As CVM News continues to get feedback to the Jamaica Teaching Council Bill, which was passed in the Senate on Friday after years of deliberation. Speaking on Lead Story, President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Dr. Mark Smith, acknowledged the bill is familiar territory for the education sector. However, he notes despite the JTA's involvement in consultations, some concerns about the legislation still remain.
Well, I am concerned that the position that we had put forward in that joint select committee of parliament that was reviewing the JTC bill, that a lot of that was still not included in the actual, final draft that was submitted in Parliament. And so that is why we have said that, we believe that there are significant aspects of the bill that we still have concerns with, but we understand the spirit of the bill and understand the need for us to move towards professionalization of the teaching service. All right? So we in principle agree with that, but have significant concerns. Of course, one of which is the idea that's spelled out in the bill is the lack of clarity in terms of the fee structure. All right, we have significant concerns about that.
Likewise, former JTA President Owen Speed also voiced concerns about certain provisions of the bill.
Competence to teach, that clause in the bill really is something that needs to be explained. It's not explained. There are no districtors to decide what is competence to teach, because as far as I know, teachers train, some of the teachers in Jamaica train for almost 9 years. And many of them would have applied their trade successfully in the classrooms for maybe all 15 and 20 years too. So what is competence to teach? Is it that they're saying, and from what I glean from it is that it is saying they should do professional development sessions, which means these ad hoc professional development sessions that we're accustomed to doing in the schools and in the system in Jamaica. There's no standard to these. So that is that going to supersede the training that these people get and their expertise, their experience in the classrooms. That is left to be explained.
Kingston's Mayor Andrew Swaby says the city remained noticeably cleaner during this year's carnival compared to last year, thanks to a partnership with the National Solid Waste Management Authority, the NSWMA. However, he notes one downside: several walls across the city were defaced with paint.
My biggest disappointment, it has improved, I must tell you, but what we insisted, should have power wash team driving right behind. And I was actually there watching it.
Yes.
I think we have to go to a stage where you have to approve of these power wash companies to make sure you have a pre-approved list to say choose one of these lists. And I think you also have to look at the route. For example, when you're going through New Kingston, the Golden Triangle, probably should not be restricted to 2 but 4 to make sure that walls are immediately cleaned. And you also have to look at the quality paint that they are used to make sure that whenever water is used, it can wash it off easily.
Right. Do continue to stay with us for more CVM News at noon right after this.
I take a call while crossing a busy street? You would have zoned out while driving through half a tree? I know say you definitely would have sent a text while climbing down River Falls. So why you do it when you cross the road? Stay alert, man. Every step matters. Pedestrians, look out before you step out. A message from the Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport.
Recycling partners of Jamaica. Yeah, we got to make a change, and we have to do it now, can't wait for later. We put plastic in its place, and we all can agree that will be safer than in the gullies and in the drains. Recycling partners of Jamaica. We put plastic in its place, yeah, the place of it clean. PET, that up polyethylene, HDPE, buckle up get screen. Baby to granny, everybody roping. Yeah, we got to go green, you know what I mean. See the sign from the bin, if we drop it in through car window, you flick, that another thing. And we don't want no garbage in this game. No, we handle it up, but them are not the same. So listen up, Jamaica, I'm saying it's time to make a change. Recycling partners of Jamaica. We put plastic in its place, and we all can agree that will be safer than in the gullies in the every range. Recycling partners of Jamaica. We put plastic in its place.
Thanks for staying with us. We welcome you back with international news. Mark Carney's Liberal Party has won the Canadian election in a remarkable turnaround for the centre-left party. In his victory speech, that is, Carney told supporters, President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never, ever happen. More from the BBC.
But we also must recognize the reality that our world has fundamentally changed. There is also, for me, as I stand before you this evening, humility in recognizing that, well, many have chosen to place your trust in me, trust in the Liberal Party. Millions of our fellow citizens preferred a different outcome. And my message to every Canadian is this: no matter where you live, no matter what language you speak, no matter how you voted, I will always do my best to represent everyone who calls Canada home.
Now, although Mark Carney's Liberal Party have won, it still remains too close to call whether he'll secure a majority in Parliament. If not, he'll have to rely on other parties to govern. In his concession speech, the leader of the opposition Conservative Party, Pierre Poilievre, congratulated Mr Carney, but also made clear that he wouldn't abandon his electoral base.
We hear your stories. We will carry those stories with us into Parliament. We will not forget the people for whom we work and for whom we fight every day. Now, I know that some of you might be disappointed that change did not get over the finish line tonight. Change takes time. Most of all, it requires that we never give up, because our people and our country are worth fighting for.
Well, our chief international correspondent, Lise Doucette, is in Ottawa, and she gave us a sense of what was happening.
What an extraordinary moment in Canadian political history. The Liberal Party, which only months ago was trailing in the polls by double digits, led by a Prime Minister, a former banker who until months ago had no political experience, has surged ahead in these polls, winning the Liberals a fourth year in office, and Mark Carney the mandate to be the next Prime Minister of Canada. And what unthinkable turnaround. And it is a measure of this moment, an election where the person whose name wasn't on the ballot, President Donald Trump, transformed Canada's political landscape.
Sports is next. Stay with us.
brand new 2025 Hyundai Tucson. Second prize, a mega shopping spree. Third prize, 30,000 monthly shopping spree. Okay, break it down for them.
Spend $6,500 or more before GCT. Fill out the entry form on your receipt. Drop it in the box. That's it.
Authorized under Section 53. If you truly don't have faith in me, then I promise you it's over. I'm going to put an end to this nonsense once and for all.
I will not rest until that girl is dead. I'm still going to kill her tonight, no matter what.
Here is your court notice.
Who's the letter from?
Sagar just sent me a notice to get Krishna's custody.
Ganga.
Brought to you by
Hyundai or Hyundai.
The Time is brought to you by Ford Territory.
Welcome back. Switching hats now to sports. When Jamaican fighters took on their counterparts from the UK and the Cayman Islands in the most recent Gloves Over Guns fight night at the Stanley Couch Gun Gym in Parade Gardens, Kingston, there was plenty of entertainment for those in attendance.
Spectators in attendance at the most recent Gloves Over Guns fight card at Stanley Couch Gym were treated to a spectacle, even though the Jamaican boxers didn't have it all their own way. In what was a 7-card fight at the Parade Gardens location in Kingston, it was perhaps the 5th bout, which was a talking point at the end of the night. Light heavyweight Riley Galvin of the UK and Sadiqi Harris of GC Foster College went back and forth in the first round. But it was Harris who took the fight to Galvin in the second round, landing a series of punishing shots without a response from Galvin. The UK-based Galvin was rescued by referee Dwayne Wilson, who stopped the fight at 2 minutes and 52 seconds in the second round. But the disappointment wasn't too much for Galvin, who broke out into dance immediately after the medals were placed around the fighters' necks. His dance moves ignited the crowd, even if they didn't quite match those normally associated with the dancehall music ringing out in the background.
At the first round, I wish I started better but I always start late. That is one of the problems that I'm going to fix back at my gym, GC Foster, Spanish Town, St. Catherine. And I want to do much better in all the rounds so I can win all of them.
I'm not used to fighting in Jamaica. It's really hot here. So we came here 2 weeks ago, started training, running up mountains, and had to try and adapt really quickly. I thought I did well in the first round, but then halfway through the second round, I sort of lost my composure, started getting caught with some shots, and I don't know, it was downhill from there. But yeah, as you said, I had fun. It was a great time, and after the fight, it was all congratulations to my opponent over there. Good job to him.
The all-foreign matchup between Isaiah Hurlston of the Cayman Islands and UK's Sharam Khalid went the distance. Hurlston started to look tired near the end of round 2, but was able to hang on for the win by unanimous decision. Kashiv Nelson of Sugar Olympic Gym was in a punishing mood in his welterweight bout against Jolan Hobson of the Cayman Islands. The faster, stronger Nelson landed some punishing blows, and Hobson was on the defensive for most of the fight. When Nelson sensed blood in the water and went in for the kill, the fight was all but over. Hobson looked like he wouldn't be able to answer the standing 8 count, and his corner threw in the towel. In the first fight on the card, middleweight Demar Robinson of the Cayman Islands got the better of the Sakima Mullings-trained Fight for Pieces Kevin Campbell by way of unanimous decision. The first All-Jamaica matchup went to middleweight Tafarel Cayman of Sugar Olympic Gym over Howard Robinson out of Montego Bay Gym. Lightweights Anthony Cheney of UK and Jovar Hunt of GC also went the distance. Both fighters gave as good as they got, but in the end, the judges favoured Cheney. The final bout of the night was the other All-Jamaica matchup in the light heavyweight category, which saw a disciplined Christopher Pinnock of the JDF battling Tevoy Barrett of Sugar Olympic Gym. Referee Kevin Stupart was forced to stop the fight 1 minute and 48 seconds into the second round as Barrett started to throw up.
I put in a lot of hard work to this, not to mention my coach, my dedicated coach gave me a lot of back drills, sprints, hard work, sparring. It was very hectic, so I worked really hard for this fight.
Now, Pan Am Boxing Confederation President Elise Signer was among those on hand for the fight night. It was one of the first things on her agenda during a 5-day visit to the island, and she praised the fighters. Now, in the same breath, President of the Jamaica Boxing Association, Stephen Bomber Jones, says the night was a prime example of what the Guns Over Guns initiative is all about.
So I'm actually very, very impressed by tonight fight night. The level of the kids were pretty impressive. They were novices for some of them, and you wouldn't even realize that they were novices. A lot of poise, a lot of control, technically sound, and at the same time a lot of heart. And I think that's what